This week we're getting a 2-for-1 deal. A double parsha, Vayakhel-Pekudei, which, if I'm honest, kind of feels a bit like the Torah saying, hey, you liked all those Mishkan instructions a few weeks ago, didn't you? Great. Here they are again. Gold, wood, fabric, measurements, lists. But the repetition is actually doing something pretty important. In Teruma and Tetzaver, the parashiot we read back in February, the Mishkan existed as an idea, a plan, a vision, a blueprint. But Vayakhel and Pekudei are different. This is the moment where these beautiful plans turned into actual construction and calloused hands, where the community gets together to build this thing. And that shift from vision to action is actually what makes these parashiot worth paying attention to. So this week, because it's a double parsha, I've decided to draw out 2 kavanot to focus in on. The first comes from Vayakhel. The Torah says, Vayakhel Moshe et kol adat b'nei Yisrael. Moshe gathered the whole community of the Israelites. Not commanded them, not drafted them, he gathered them. And suddenly a community forms around a shared project. People bring materials they had previously pledged. They show up with their skills. They dedicate their time. And something larger than any individual begins to take shape. So this is why the first kavanah that I'm holding this week is that I will endeavour always to build community through shared purpose. Because communities never appear magically. They're only built when people align their energy towards something bigger than themselves. And the question for myself that I'll be reflecting on over Shabbat related to this kavanah is, where am I prioritizing individual control over a shared success? And a question for you, where might collaboration create something better that you would maybe do alone otherwise? The second parasha in this week's double whammy is Pekudei, and here we see a shift in tone. After all the building is done, the Torah slows down and does something fairly practical. It counts. The portion begins, Ele Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan HaEdut, Asher Pukad al Pi Moshe. These are the records of the tabernacle of the pact, drawn up at Moshe's bidding. Every donation, every material, every contribution, and accounting. And Rashi notices something important here. He explains that Moshe gives this accounting because he had been placed in charge of the community's silver and gold. And whenever someone is responsible for communal funds, they need to be able to give a clear reckoning. Not because Moshe was guilty of anything, quite the opposite. Because leadership is supposed to be clean enough to withstand scrutiny. Because trust matters. Because transparency matters. Because finishing something well includes showing how it was built. So the second kavanah that I'm carrying this week is reminding myself how important it is to value both accountability and completion. Not just starting things, finishing them, closing loops, honouring the work by seeing it through. So the question I'll be asking myself related to this idea is, what loose end in my life is quietly draining my attention? And another one for you. What would it look like to bring one unfinished thing to completion this week? Vayakhel and Pekudei remind us of something simple but powerful. Community is built together, and what we build together deserves to be finished with integrity. Shabbat Shalom.